Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And we're back after a 1 week break. And also, we're celebrating the post birthday of our delightful co host, Daniel Parker.
Yes, my birthday was yesterday. Turning the big 4-0. Yes, yes. To quote a certain college football coach, "I'm a man. I'm 40."
Yep. Also, a high creators outlet. Yep, hail.
Hail, man. Yeah, hail. Good to see you, man. But we're back from a short little 1 week break. If you are returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we usually do is we critique stuff. We from our corners.
Yes.
um,
Although my new desk is more in the middle of my room, so we might have to rebrand. We'll have to think about that.
yeah. Well, and my where I am is more in the middle of my house than in a corner. So yeah.
Hmm.
uh,
Well, besides a bunch of brand identity issues, like Daniel was saying, we watch things. Sometimes they're new, sometimes they're old. Usually they're just a mix of things. We aren't here to chase the algorithm and watch whatever new Drek is out in theaters. We just look at things that look interesting to us and decide if we think they're worthy of your time, and maybe have a
yes.
little bit of fun at their expense in the process.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, and first up for this week is the Wild Robot.
Speaking of brand identity issues,
Yeah.
we're better off than this poor goose in the picture here.
Oh yeah. Yes. The Wild Robot was a DreamWorks animated movie. Came out last year. Uh, Directed by Chris Sanders, who is one of the directors on the animated Lilo and Stitch.
Important
Um,
distinction.
yes,
Ohana means family around these parts, not
indeed. Yeah.
not dump your sister off on someone else.
Yeah. And he was also the voice of Stitch. Um, so this movie takes place in I would say, near future or kind of distant future, where we meet a robot named Roz, who is voiced by Lupita Nyong'o.
Nyong'o, I think is how you say
Nyong'o.
it.
Okay, thank you. Nyong'o. And For those of you who, if the name sounds familiar, she played Maz Kanata in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. She was also I can't remember the name of her
Uh,
character in Black Panther.
she was the love interest in Black Panther.
Right, yeah, she was love interest in Black Panther, and she's been in a few other things as well. But yeah, so Roz is shipwrecked on this island, which looks like, I want to say, kind of up in your neck of the woods, DB, like in the Pacific Northwest.
I was thinking it kind of looked like mine, and then I looked at it a bit closer. There was actually one culprit in the various cast of animals that meant it couldn't be in my area. Uh,
Oh, okay.
it was the alligator gar, which is a type of fish that's now mostly found in the southeast, but historically ranged all the way up to Canada on the east coast, like Mississippi Basin and all that.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but the reason it looks so primeval is that um, eh, this isn't too much of a spoiler because this is a world that has been struck by a fairly significant amount of climate change. That I think it's like a realistic vision of that, where in that there are still lots of human settlements around.
Yeah. And there is a shot of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco underwater. So
Yeah, I don't know if that's realistic, but
yeah.
uh, uh, the what I liked about it was that they kind of layered it in. The first hint was that there was a flyer somewhere that said, uh, "Buy property in Florida. There's more shoreline than ever," or something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah. So Roz is um, on this island, and of course, her programming being the way it is, like she needs a task.
She's got like Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, yeah, she is. Yeah. Although the only difference is Roz won't self-destruct once her task is complete.
yes. Uh, and so, and I gotta say, like a lot of this movie is, at least especially in the first part, is pretty quiet. Like because of
Yeah,
course you have Lupita Nyong'o doing her best AI emotionless flat voice, like or flat fake cheery voice. Uh, VTuber fans think of Crony from Hololive, but
yeah,
uh, she just like she just sounds like very enthusiastic. Hello, I am the I forget the name of her. I am the robot. I am Roz the robot here to assist you. What is your task? And then
yeah,
like a possum hisses at her and runs away.
yeah. And also kind of like Baymax from Big Hero 6.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, hello, I am Baymax.
yep.
Um, but yeah, so Roz is stuck on an uninhabited island. Well, it's inhabited by animals, and so she kind of like goes into this hibernation mode and learns all of the animals' various languages, and then is able to communicate with them. And then, of course, there's what, I'm trying to remember, she ran into the bear, right?
Um, are you talking about like who hurt her or why she fell down the mountain? Or
Yeah, yeah,
I honestly forget that detail. But
yeah,
in the course of falling down the mountain, she ends up crushing a nest of, or a geese nest, and there's
yeah,
only one egg left. And then she forcibly forces he said redundantly, a fox named Fink, played by Pedro Pascal, to give her advice on how to raise this goose. Partially it's because he realizes that when she's around, she's an easy source of food because she's always like getting more snacks for the little gosling. But
yeah. Well, I mean, he's a fox, so he's treacherous and sneaky
yeah,
and a liar.
yep. But so this movie is very simple, which befits a kids movie.
Yeah,
I almost first want to talk about the visual presentation because the animation in this thing is just gorgeous.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and it doesn't feel like a like CGI animation. It actually looks pretty photorealistic in places.
And yet like all the characters are caricatured and they have very cartoony movements. Like and also they've just designed Baymax very well for what they need her to do in this movie.
Oh, you mean Roz?
Rods. See, you got me thinking. Anyways,
Sorry.
you threw me off. Anyways, they got Roz very well animated. Like one scene, she's trying to climb up a mountain. She sees a crab start doing it, so she starts imitating the crab.
Yeah,
Um, she's not technically expressive, but you can always tell what she's feeling, even though she doesn't. She shouldn't technically have feelings for most of the movie, but
yeah.
you can still tell.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
the animation, I would be surprised if this wasn't the same team or at least the same style being used for Puss in Boots 2.
Probably.
It reminded me of that, but without any of the low frame moments that you usually get for this type of Into the Spider Verse CGI pretending to be regular animation style.
Yeah. No, no, it's very yeah, it's really smooth. I mean, and yeah, it captures all of the expressions and everything very well. Yeah, DreamWorks has come a long way since the Shrek movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. And and also this is definitely a major step up from the last DreamWorks movie we tried to watch, Ruby Gilman.
Oh yeah. Oof, man. Uh, I don't know where they were thinking with that one.
Yep.
But yeah.
I think the answer is that they were thinking. This is kind of what happens when you thinking with. I'm trying to think of how to put this in a nice way. It's basically what happens when you hire interns because they have a following on Tumblr instead of actually having experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So we talked a little bit about Lupita's performance. You have Pedro Pascal. He actually is very well suited to this type of voice acting.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Well, the only other voice acting I can think of that he's done was The Mandalorian.
Right, which I'd put an asterisk on that one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought he was decent in this movie. Which of course, the man is everywhere these days. You can't get away from him.
Yeah, he actually really reminded me in his delivery of Matt Frewer, an actor who was in a few key cartoons that I watched when I was a kid, as well as the live action Generation X cartoon, or excuse me, not cartoon, live action thing starring Jubilee and the rest of the 90s Generation X team, which I think is technically the first live action X-Men production to ever actually be made.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I would be curious to look that up sometime just to see how badly it's aged. I remember liking it at the time, but at the time I was an idiot, so
Mm-hmm.
And I was probably just impressed by the fact that it was a reasonable approximation of the comics. That's neither here nor there. There's a lot of other major actors here. You have Mark Hamill as the bear.
Yeah.
Bing Rames plays a hawk.
You got Catherine O'Hara as the possum, mother possum.
Yep, and she's a lot of fun as always.
Yeah.
But the what's interesting about this one is that all of the reviews I saw of this last year gave me the impression that the movie was only like the first half to 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
And it would make sense because I'm raising this goose, and I have to train this goose to fly so he can join the migration, or else he'll die. And it's about like parenthood, about death. A reviewer I watched last year said this would be a good one to show your kids, to introduce them to the concept of death.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely heartwarming in a lot of places. And we were talking before the show that this movie kind of reminded me of Avatar.
Especially in the part of the movie that I didn't know existed, where so I kind of thought the movie was only going to be her teaching this little goose how to fly. By the way, Kit Connor voices Brett Bill the Goose, who very amusing because early on he's been socialized by a robot, so he just talks like a complete weirdo.
Yeah. The part I liked was when he's that age, when he's a little goose, and he's like if you've ever been around like 2 or 3 year olds, like they repeat everything you say.
Yep.
And so he does that. He'll just repeats everything that he hears.
The last half of the movie I could see being a little upsetting for very small kids, just because it does get kind of violent, and there is like some. There was one scene that kind of even gets me a little misty-eyed now as I'm thinking about it, where it looked like bad things had happened to Roz, and Bright Bill had very much a oh no, was the last thing I said to her yelling at her type moment.
Yeah.
Which wasn't exactly what happened, but like the same sort of emotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that this has hit Netflix. I wish I'd seen it in theaters. And apparently DreamWorks has been renting out a bunch of Tuesday and Wednesday screenings for a lot of their more recent movies all summer, Although for some reason I didn't see Ruby Gillman on that list. I wonder why.
I wonder why. Yeah.
So if you're inclined to go to the theaters, there will be another chance for this one. We're not going to spoil it just because this is already a pretty simple story.
Yeah.
Although just mentioning Avatar, wait, that Dances with Wolves with a fox and a goose? Yes, exactly.
Yes. And hey, Edwin, good to see you, man.
Ed?
But yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. Yeah.
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 And,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to quickly append something on here. This is one that I, in fact, don't recommend, but it's not going to be. I'm not going to go into it as much as I did with our other failed review of Ishtar.
Yeah.
This can either be appended to the start of the next review or put at the end of The Wild Robot. So, Daniel,
Okay.
this is your choice. Okay. So we tried to watch Novocaine, by which I mean I tried to watch Novocaine. And I got 15 minutes into it. And so the basic premise of this movie is that you have a guy who has a genetic disorder where he literally cannot feel pain. And he lives a very hyper paranoid lifestyle. Like, he doesn't eat liquid or solid foods because he might bite off his tongue. Everything around him has rounded edges attached to it. He's always very paranoid. And I had heard this one was hard to watch because they're very realistic about the injuries he takes. Like, he spills coffee on his hand and he's just horribly burned. With it's just weird watching him no sell it.
Wow.
And it's just like, it was so uncomfortable to watch him exist before the action scenes started.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I was kind of wondering that too when I'd heard about it, because I saw Film Threats review of this, and heard the premise, and I'm like, oh man, like, ooh, like, I can't imagine, like, watching a movie like that where somebody's like taking injuries like that and he just doesn't feel anything. Although there was a one of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies had a villain that was like that, where he couldn't feel any pain at all.
See, it wasn't GoldenEye. What was it? Was The World Is Not Enough?
Yeah, The World Is Not Enough. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah. But so, like, and it's sad because it seemed like a well-made movie. The genetic disorder was being handled in a very sensitive manner, and maybe that was the problem, was that it was like too realistic, because a bad guy who can't feel pain is actually operating, or a hero who can't feel pain for that matter is operating at a big disadvantage realistically.
Yeah,
because like the injury is still happening, they just don't respond to it.
Yeah.
But it was just too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So instead, we subbed in a different movie that popped up on my Paramount recommends, Copland.
Yeah. And I had seen this movie before, and I thought it was a decent crime drama, which we've been on a bit of a crime drama kick these last few months.
And I'm certainly not complaining about that, because by and large they've all been great.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah. And I would say this is a good one too. It's it stars. It's got a great cast. I mean, you've got
definitely.
Yeah, you've got Sylvester Stallone in the lead role. You got Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro. Let's see what else. You got Robert Patrick, who was the T-1000. Who else? There was somebody else in this movie.
You've got a young Murray Babbage, who I had not realized he was acting at that age, because I think of him as just a salty old guy who shows up in comedies.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had John Spencer has a very small role. He played he was the FBI agent in The Rock, the one that Sean Connery throws over the balcony.
We need to add that to the list because I haven't actually seen that one either.
Oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah, we watched that one.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably Michael Bay's one of his best movies.
Well, at least his best movie that wasn't wholesale ripped off from Clonus the Parts horror.
Yeah,
like The Island was.
Yeah. or a franchise like Transformers.
Yep.
But that's neither here nor there. Murray Babbage. You mean Michael Rappaport?
I did that thing again. It's when I don't know somebody's name very well. I just think of Michael as like that one guy who I see in things.
Yeah.
Like character actor is the wrong word because character actors vanish into their roles, but he's like a guy who I see deployed in things for that sort of salty New Yorker, New Jersey style.
Yeah. He's mainly. I think he was mainly a comedic actor.
Yeah, which is all the more reason why I was surprised when he was suddenly in this one because, boy, this is not a comedy.
No, it's not. No, it is a very dark movie. Yeah. So the basic premise of the movie is you've got these NYPD cops from this one particular precinct who, for various reasons, they don't want to live in New York City, so they set up they settle down in Garrison, New Jersey, which is this little town just right across the river over the George Washington Bridge in New Jersey. And Sylvester Stallone plays Freddie Heflin, who's the sheriff of the town. And he's a very mild-mannered guy, very kind of just, very even-keeled. He wanted to be an NYPD cop, but he lost his hearing and lost the hearing in his right ear when he dove into a river to rescue a young woman from a drowning car. And so he's basically just as DB pointed out, he's always behind the eight ball. He just never seemed to catch a break on anything. And so he kind of basically hero worships the NYPD cops. And
right.
Yeah.
And they kind of treat him with like he treats them with kid gloves. They have no use for him, no respect for him, but he just kind of puts up with it because being the sheriff of this little Copland is going to be the closest he ever gets to it.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think how as you said, they don't have any respect for him. They kind of treat him like that kid brother who, like the little cousin that, and I'm speaking as somebody who was the little cousin who's just kind of like, he's trying to do something really cool for all the older kids, and they're like, oh yeah, that's great, get lost, leave us alone.
Right. And what's interesting is that the movie doesn't actually start with him. So it took me a little bit to realize he was the main character, which, okay, so I didn't see the movie poster. I just saw, Copland. That sounds like an interesting one. I'll just give this a watch. I would have been startled to see Stallone as a supporting character in anything in 1997. So,
yeah.
So that's the overall setup.
Yeah.
And of course, Stallone has a very easy job because nobody really causes any problems in Garrison because, of course, it's full of NYPD cops, so everyone's armed. And if you do anything too out of line, you can have a whole bunch of angry NYPD cops after you.
Right. Yeah. And so the inciting incident of the movie is Michael Rappaport's character was Murray Babbage, who he's this young cop who he's the nephew of Harvey Keitel's character. And he's driving home from a bachelor party. He gets sideswiped by a couple of African American youths who are obviously very high, and of course, Murray is drunk because he was just at a bachelor party, and he tells him, "Hey, pull over." He shows his badge, but the two guys are like, "Nah, man," and they holds up to the window what Murray thinks is a gun. It wasn't, and then he proceeds to shoot the car, and then he gets into a wreck.
He gets his tire blown.
Oh, that's right, his tire blows. Yeah,
which at the time, I remember when I was watching that scene, I was going, "That's a weird homebrew gun. What the hell is going on there?" And yeah, not actually a gun. So he shoots at them, and he ends up plowing into their car. Now, mind you, they sideswiped him first. So
yeah. There were no winners in that scenario. Everybody was a loser.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then all Keitel and all the other cops from this town show up, and they try to do the dirty cop thing where they plant a gun in the.
Yeah, I found this Uzi.
Yeah, I found this Uzi, and then one of the paramedics is like, "Oh, BS! Come on."
Get that out of here. That was not in the car.
Yeah. You think we're that stupid?
Yeah. So it looks like Murray, by the way, Murray's character, this is kind of what they call in TV tropes an informed attribute. There's really no indication he's a great cop, but he's called the super cop in the press, which makes you wonder if that's just a little bit of nepotism there.
Well, the story was that he rescued a bunch of black kids from a burning building.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I forgot that part.
Yeah. So he got the nickname Superboy.
Superboy. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's they're going to take my badge. My life's over, and it appears that he jumps into the river, and there's no sign of him.
Yeah. But but in reality, he jumped into the back of the car.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this basically just kicks off the whole rest of the movie, where you come to find out that these cops living in Garrison are not, on top of planting evidence in crime scenes, they're also involved in a lot of other shady stuff. They're in bed with the mob and all this other stuff, and so. Then Stallone's he's paid a visit by Robert De Niro's character, Mo Tilden, who's a internal affairs investigator, and he has a history with Keitel's character, and so he goes to Stallone and says, "Hey, these guys, they're not who you think they are," and
right. He thinks they're fundamentally good people.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, De Niro's just like, "No, they're these are bad guys." And, he basically asks him, "Hey, can you help me out here?" And Stallone's just like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." And another character we forgot to mention is Ray Liotta, Figs, who, I think he was like an undercover cop. And so that's why he's like not in uniform or anything.
He seems to be having a hard time in general. Like you get the impression this character is doing almost as many drugs as his character from Goodfellas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's of course the other part of it too is that like his partner was killed because I guess he was going to rat them out, but then they had him killed. And and the other thing too is he's the only New York cop amongst these other cops who's actually friends with Stallone. Like he gets he's friendly with him, he gets along with him.
I think it's partly because he doesn't get along with the other New York cops.
Oh yeah.
Like lack of options.
Oh yeah. But yeah, the basically the whole crux of the movie is just like Stallone's character having to kind of like come to terms with the fact that the people that he idolized and the people that he really liked were not the people he thought they were, and
Right.
you know, having to do the right thing, which could cost him his life.
Yeah, and that's where kind of the gonna put a line in the sand here for if we decide to talk about any spoilers for the movie.
Yeah.
So I hadn't realized at first that this was an early movie for James Mangold, which, but it really is so in keeping with him because it is about a story of like a lone man getting ground down and having to make some sort of last stand.
Yeah, like Logan. Yeah.
Yep. Or like, well, I guess kind of like Indiana Jones 5, except Indy never actually got to be cool in that one from your review of it.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
So it is much more like Logan, but like some of
Yeah.
the stuff that happens to Stallone is just brutal. Like, oof,
Yeah.
like just cruel. And it is so satisfying when they finally push him past his breaking point and just like him basically going, okay, you know what? F this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That was satisfying to see.
It's also so this movie was also I think okay, so Stallone didn't have a great 90s.
No. From like Dread and
Rocky 5.
Rocky 5. Demolition Man, I don't think was a box office hit, but that's one of those movies that's people have come around to in the last few years.
That's also needs to be on our eventual to-do list because I've been wanting to watch that for ages. If only because I keep hearing that, man, thought we were going to get Star Trek, and they said we got Blade Runner plus Demolition Man.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, this movie was kind of like a comeback movie for him. He actually, I don't know if you noticed, but he looked a little heavy in this movie. He did put on some weight to look like like a small town sheriff,
like a donut operator.
Right? Yeah. Which I think was probably what they were referencing in The Simpsons when Bart and Lisa see Rainier Wolfcastle walking out of the Quickie Mart eating a box of donuts. And he had this big gut. So he's like, "I'm playing a fat secret agent."
Okay, another Simpsons joke unlocked.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a good movie. And everybody, all the actors brought their A game. Definitely one of Stallone's better acting performances.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of Rocky 1, where he is this down on his luck guy who, although in this case it's like he got like a little taste of his dream, where Rocky, he had been reduced to being a bookie's flunky,
Right.
so, which is almost worse because it's like it's hard to give up like when you have a little sniff of what you want than if you have nothing at all, in a way.
Yeah. Though I will say his character in this movie is smarter than Rocky.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
At least in the first Rocky, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, there really isn't a lot of I'd say the movie has kind of a deliberate pace, but it's all like very intentional. Like it isn't wasting your time.
Yeah. And it's not a very long movie either. It's what was it, like hour 40?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I'd say this gets a firm recommend. You can watch it on Paramount Plus for free right now.
Yeah.
Or of course rent it where such things are available.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
All right. So now for what might be the greatest total whiplash of review topics ever.
Yeah.
Daniel, you watched something on your own.
Yes, I did. I watched the Big City Greens movie, Spacecation. I give it a watch after I got through the whole show. So I will say, if you want to know what's going on in this movie, you kind of have to watch some of the show to understand it.
So is this like a cap off movie like they do sometimes, where it's like we're ending the show, time to do something big and exciting to end things, or
kind of, yeah. Because I will say the show kind of ended on a cliffhanger. Because they had a reoccurring villain that popped in every now and then, and he shows up to, he's like, oh, I'm about to enact my revenge, but then nothing happened. But yeah, so they did this movie kind of like as a almost like like you said, kind of like a fun kind of adventure for. I think it was probably more for the fans of the show than anything else. But yeah, so in this in the movie, the Greens are finally get to take a vacation, and the dad Bill, he says, "Oh well, we're gonna do the same vacation we did last year, which was this road trip to see all these landmarks." And the kids, Cricket and Tilly, and then Grandma are just like, "Oh, we're doing that again," and so they get kind of disappointed, and especially Cricket, by the way, is very disappointed because he wants to do something fun and exciting because he's just full of energy and probably slightly has, or actually no, he definitely has ADHD. And but before they go on their road trip, they have to stop off and make a delivery at Big Tech, which is this high tech company run by this very eccentric woman. I can't remember her name. Let me pull up the movie real quick. But she's I hate to say she's like a female Elon Musk, but she kind of is a female Elon Musk.
I guess that makes sense, because otherwise, how are you going to get them into space?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because she's talking about she has like a colony on Mars and everything. But and let me see, what was her name? Her name was Gwendolyn Zapp. Zapp. Yeah, she's the one in the top left with the glasses, and she has a this like space station hotel, and but of course it's where any like the super rich can stay there, go on the space station. It's basically like a cruise ship, but it's a space station.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Cricket's friend Remy, who's like a mini Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he and his parents get to go up there, and they get the food, or I can't remember if they get the food from this place or there's an she also has an asteroid where she's got a farm in space, and but they're having trouble with the farm, so Gwendolyn Zapp offers to have since the Greens are farmers, they're like, oh well, I'll send you to the asteroid so you can farm all the crops that are on the asteroid.
Yeah, because that's an applicable environment instead of skills.
Yeah. Well, they even joke about that too, where I think she says like, well, it's easier to train farmers to be astronauts than astronauts to be farmers.
Okay, that's for all the parents who watched Armageddon growing up.
Yeah. And so, and of course, Bill turns it down, and he's like, "No, we've got this other trip we got planned out. We can't go into space." But Cricket's just like, "What? I want to go into space." So then he tricks the family into like, he goes to Gwendolyn and says, "Well, my dad's changed his mind. He wants to do it." He says, "But we'll farm it, but we want to stay in the space station hotel." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so he tricks the rest of the family into thinking, "Oh, well, we're gonna do a simulator, and it's gonna look like we're going into space." But No, they actually do go up into space, and much to much to Bill's chagrin, and the rest of the Tilly and Grandma are kind of get on board with it, but then uh, bad stuff happens, and of course, then there's all this family drama and everything. But it is it's basically it kind of falls into the same problem with that a lot of animated movies or animated movies that are like continuations or based on animated series
Oh,
is
you
you
can't.
take like a concept for like one episode, and
Mhm.
you try to stretch it out to an hour and a half.
Mm.
Yeah, and kind of like what, or you basically take like the premise for, or take like 3 episodes or 4 episodes or whatever, and that's basically what they get. Um, and by the way, this movie didn't come out in theaters. I think it just went straight to the Disney Channel. Um,
That tracks because I had never heard of this show until you brought it up for review a few weeks back.
yeah, and I had never heard of it either until last January, when I was at Disney World. And so uh but yeah, I mean, it's a like I said, it's this movie's definitely for the fans of the show, just to get to see them doing something really kooky and crazy. And what's kookier and crazier than having a family of farmers up in space?
Yeah. So I was going to ask, was there anything else in the series that was on this level of like high concept? Like, were they? I doubt they were regularly going to space, but were they? Did they have any sort of other like? And okay, so
Yeah,
this is part of the show's weird visual language where characters just randomly have weird skin colors. I
yeah.
had said, "Oh, that purple lady up in the corner must be a space alien of some sort."
Yeah. um Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But usually, if something wacky like this happened with them, it's when they're around her. They're around Gwendolyn. Like
Okay.
there was one episode where they did like this whole virtual reality thing, uh, and where she was basically like trying to create her own version of the Matrix.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, but yeah, most of the time it's usually like most of the hijinks they got into are like normal cartoon hijinks, not too like kooky crazy. This is probably the kookiest, craziest thing that they've done. Um,
Well, that sounds like it was a suitable send off for the series.
yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. I would recommend it for people who, if you watch the although if people have, if they watch the show, they've probably already seen this movie by now. I mean, it came out.
Yeah,
When did this movie come out?
last
Well,
June
last
from the looks of it.
yeah, last year. Yeah, so yeah, they probably have already seen it by now. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah, good
Yep.
enough. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of things floating around in zero G, see, I managed to make our transition to Witch Watch work.
Yes. By the way, try saying that title 5 times fast.
Yeah, yeah. No. Right.
Uh,
So, yes, it's yet another seasonal anime, and I bet I can hear somebody out there groaning. Oh no, it's another slice of life show that doesn't have a strong driving plot. I bet you DB was bored or annoyed. Well, nuts to you because this show is delightful.
yes.
This show is actually what I want from this sort of nonsense.
Yes. 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 It's a very very cute, romantic comedy. Supernatural show.
Yep. And it's got a very basic premise, actually a little bit like Bewitched now that I think about it.
Oh
But
yeah, it is. Yeah.
or at least like the what causes the plot to happen every episode is similar. The actual setup is very different.
Yeah.
Um, what it's always interesting with a lot of these storylines, the genre you choose or the genre you end up in is entirely based on what elements you want to go with. Because you could have very easily also turned this into like a battle manga if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So Witch Watch is the story of Nico, the witch, and her childhood friend Morihito, who has the blood of ogres in him. And when they were children, there were problems because of her witch powers, so she went off to train for a while. And there are also problems because of Morihito's ogre strength, almost getting somebody killed. And so he spent years refining his skills. And now that they're in high school, they have reunited, and by amazing anime law coincidence, they are living under the same roof with no parental supervision whatsoever.
Yeah.
Funny how this always works.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you've got to have that. You got to have funny, wacky premises somehow, and it makes it a lot easier when there's no adult supervision around.
Exactly. It's like how why are there so many orphans in fiction? Well, there's probably some Jordan Peterson style explanations deep in the psyche of trying to find the place you belong.
Uh,
But I think just like from a nuts and bolts level, it's much easier for the hero to go off and have adventures if there isn't an adult expecting them home by dinner.
yeah.
But
Very true. Yeah.
like I was saying, this could have very easily been a battle manga because the first episode is actually a lot more dour than the other episodes we watched, just because they go into like, oh, the witches were, um, they were abused at some point, and Morihito carries a heavy burden because of his magical nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then the other two episodes that we watched were just completely, comedies.
Yeah. Right. Not mixed like the first episode, just very pure comedies.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is okay. So, visual element I want to bring up that I thought was neat before I forget about it.
Yeah.
You notice how Morihito kind of has this like one spike in his hair?
Oh yeah, almost like alfalfa.
Yeah. So I realized it when I was seeing him and his dad side by side. So his dad has two horn-like projections of his hair on the side of his head, and Morihito has one. That's supposed to be like the hair is like emulating an ogre horn, like you see in Japanese media.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
like
it's not just it's not just like a funny design choice.
right. Like let me pull up a example here. This isn't exactly classical Japanese art, but I believe it's supposed to be reminiscent of this type of thing.
Okay.
Because I do very commonly see depictions with like one ogre with two horns and one with one. So
okay,
I think it's also like the red oni, blue oni thing, but I I can recognize that it's a reference, but I couldn't tell you which was supposed to be which because it's been forever since I actually heard the story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So Nico drives the storyline because she knows a lot of spells, but all the spells have incredibly specific drawbacks that she never thinks of before she actually casts the spell.
Yeah, like in they're when they're reunited, she bursts through the window of his back door, and she's like, "Well, I'll just put it back together." And then he's like, "Do you have anything I can use?" And like, "Oh yeah, I got this." His favorite coffee mug, and she puts the window back together, but then the coffee mug breaks.
Right. It's like she sacrificed the feelings of attachment that resided in the mug to repair the window.
Yeah.
Or like say in another episode, she wants to copy a dress she saw in a magazine, so she uses a spell to copy it, but the spell can only copy what it can see in the photo, so the back half of her dress is totally transparent, so she has to crab walk around to keep Morihito from seeing her butt.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, she fails.
Yeah. what I'll say is that it is kind of charming just to see that Morihito is kind of a grump, but as like he makes sense why he's a grump, considering that he's always really had to restrict himself.
Yeah.
Nico is the one who very clearly, like, not just clearly, like, she blatantly has a crush on him. Like she sees him for the first time after they're reuniting and goes, "Wow, he turned out hot."
Yeah. Yes, she's clearly making hints and advances to him, and he's just like, oh, whatever.
Yep. So it is just kind of a cute romance that way. Third episode had a bit of a fight, though I suspect it's going to be a character who just ends up on the periphery. That's where this type of anime comedy lives or dies, is how well it integrates new characters. And it's almost like, it's kind of funny how predictable the pattern is, because it's like, the first couple episodes you focus on the main two characters, then you start slowly adding characters one at a time. Mm-hmm. And the deciding factor for how it's good as it is, are any of the characters horribly annoying, or are there any characters that you wish had been introduced sooner, who would have, because their dynamic is fun, but you only get like 3 episodes with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not really a whole lot to analyze here. It's available on Crunchyroll with both. Well, actually, it's got a German dub. Although to my annoyance, I almost wanted to watch that just to see how much high school German I remembered with subtitle assistance. But on Crunchyroll, you can't combine German text with English subtitles for some reason. What if it's a PAL NTSC thing?
Yeah, probably. It is. The English dub is on there.
Yep. I tried both the English dub and the Japanese. I think I ended up preferring the Japanese. At first, I found Nico's voice kind of high-pitched and grating. And then I watched the first episode with someone else and didn't mind it at all. So I think you're fine with whatever choice you go with.
Yeah.
If you go from like a 5-point weeb scale, where 1 is you barely notice it comes from Japan, and 5 is like all the humor is based on alternate readings of lines from poems from the 17th century that school children know about. I would put it at a 2, mostly because they actually have a lot of references to other Shonen Jump series, and unlike a lot of Japanese media where they feel the need to bleep out when they say the name of something, it's like they can just say, like, she casts a spell that creates an anti-gravity field, and some of the nerds are flying around, and the nerds are flying around pretending they're in Dragon Ball, and they're all they're doing like poses of different characters like Piccolo and Goku as they fly around and things like that.
Yeah.
And like they have a weeb teacher who makes a lot of references to Shonen Jump series.
Oh yeah. Didn't they make a Naruto reference, or was I imagining that?
I might have missed one, but it's I know. I think they made like a reference to the guy who was following them around in the 3rd episode being like Naruto.
Okay.
I don't recall entirely. I think you're. I think there was one in there.
Okay.
There was like I do remember like Hunter x Hunter specifically, when they had like the big collection of manga they had to move around. They rattled off a lot of like 80s and 90s series.
Yeah. Okay. That part was funny when she splits herself in first she splits herself in 2, thinking that moving the boxes will take less time, but so no, she needs both of them to move, and then she splits herself in 4.
Because when she makes a duplicate of herself, she can't create new matter for it, so she just ends up splitting herself in half, everything including her intelligence.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 short versions, and the guy's like, "What are you doing? This isn't more efficient. You still have to both work together to move one box."
Yeah. He just ends up moving them all anyway.
Yeah. Just a fun, charming show.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, you know what else are fun? Patriot Games.
Patriot Games. Well, these Patriot Games weren't very fun. At least not for Jack Ryan.
What are you talking about? He had a great time. He was happy the whole movie.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Daniel, this was your suggestion.
Yes. So this is kind of I would say sequel slash reboot of The Hunt for Red October. Um, which is of course another Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan movie that we reviewed for the channel. Um, although this movie focuses more on Jack Ryan than Red October did. Um, so basically, the setup for this movie is Jack Ryan, who's in this movie, he's played by Harrison Ford. And that's because Alec Baldwin wanted more money to play Jack Ryan, and Paramount said no. Um, and there might be another. I think there was another reason for that, but which we'll get in once I get into once we get to the plot of the movie. But yeah, so Jack Ryan, he's no longer working for the CIA. He's a professor of military history at the U.S. Naval Academy, and he's in London with his wife Catherine and their daughter Sally, and
Who is
he's
that? They're both actually characters in this movie.
yes, yeah, they weren't just like not cameos, yeah. Um, uh, Catherine is played by Anne Archer, who I'm trying to think of anything else she's been in. Um, and their daughter is played by Thora Birch, who I think she's been in quite a few movies. Trying to think what, but but yeah, so they're she was in that first Dungeons and Dragons movie in the 2000s. Um,
Yeah.
oh, she was in American Beauty. That's right. She played Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening's daughter in that movie. Um, but yeah, so they're in London, and of course, Catherine and Sally are doing the tourist thing while Jack is giving a speech, and then they meet up. But as they're meeting up, a gang or a group of IRA baddies show up to try to kidnap a member of the royal family. I believe they said he's the queen. He was the queen mother's cousin, and he's like the uh, whatever from he represent or his domain is Northern Ireland, and of course the one of the IRA guys is Sean, played by Sean Bean. His name is Sean Miller, and of course as they're in the midst of the attack, Jack Ryan foils it, uh, and and during the course of that, he kills Sean Miller's brother, who's only a kid.
Right, 17, yeah.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, and so in London, and of course in England, he's a big hero because he stepped in and saved a member of the royal family. But Sean Miller doesn't feel the same way because he ends up getting arrested. But the other people who are part of his group they manage to get away. And you come to find out that this particular sect of the IRA is much more radical than the main branch of the IRA.
Which boy, when you're too radical for the IRA, I don't know. That's like being told that by I don't know, like being told by the Mormons, look, we don't like alcohol either, but maybe you shouldn't be burning down Budweiser trucks that come through town.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
It's not a
but
perfect analogy, but yeah.
yeah. Well, and the other, of course, the big thing with that is they targeted a member of the royal family, which uh, the one IRA guy says, yeah, we can't be doing that because if we do that, then the public's going to turn on us, which it actually did happen in the late 70s when the IRA assassinated Lord Mountbatten, who was the current king's great uncle, and he was the uncle of Prince Philip, Charles's father, Queen Elizabeth's husband. And I don't know what I don't know what Elizabeth's relation was with Mountbatten, but it's neither here nor there. But he was like Mountbatten was this big war hero, and when the IRA assassinated him, the British public, they were kind of sympathetic to the IRA, but then when they did that, they're like, oh no, we're done with you guys.
Yep.
And so it's kind of a similar thing with this movie. And so then when Jack and his family, they go back to America, only to find out that Sean Miller has been got sprung by his friends, and then they end up getting on a slow boat to Libya, although they don't specifically state that it's Libya, but you kind of infer that it is because they mention Gaddafi. But of course, Sean Miller, he's got revenge on his mind. So he and some of the other guys go to America. They go to Maryland, where Jack Ryan's living, and they go after him, and they go after the family.
Yeah, which I remember thinking as I was watching it, wow, they're really holding a grudge. Oh, wait, right, IRA.
Yeah.
They're not known for letting things go.
No, they're not. Yeah. So Catherine, his wife, and then his daughter are very seriously injured, especially Sally, the little girl. So Jack's just like, no, all right, I'm going back to the CIA to get these guys.
It's time for to go on a holy crusade of terror.
Yes, and this time it's personal.
Yeah, I ended up looking up a trailer for this thing. Of all the movies that could have had the line, "This time it's personal," this is like the one where it fits the most, but it wasn't in there, or even any variant of it that I can recall.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed Hunt for Red October, but I specifically enjoyed the scenes with Sean Connery as the captain, and it kind of felt like every time Alec Baldwin was around being Jack Ryan, it's like he was an unwelcome addition to the story. It's like, no, just show me the Soviet captain. Come on.
Yeah.
Sean Connery's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have that problem as much in this movie.
No, you don't. And I will say, I think I prefer Harrison Ford's version of Jack Ryan over Alec Baldwin's, even though,
agreed. Especially for this story.
Oh yeah. Although Tom Clancy, I think, disagreed with us. He preferred Alec Baldwin over Harrison Ford.
Well, I think it's because to a certain level, Alec Baldwin, so I'm sure that as he imagined Jack Ryan, he wanted Jack Ryan to actually look like a, pencil pusher CIA analyst, right?
Yeah.
Which Alec Baldwin definitely looks like he's believable as like a white collar guy.
Yeah.
Where Harrison Ford, he's kind of the white Denzel Washington in that, like, he doesn't really vanish into the character, and he's very intense and good at what he does.
Yeah.
But like, show me the nuance in his delivery of Indiana Jones versus Jack Ryan, and there isn't a whole lot of it. Maybe Harrison Ford. Maybe Indy is a little more jokey at times, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, you could also say that between Indiana Jones and Han Solo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he brings a very particular set of acting skills, and in the first half of the movie, it's like, okay, this is all right. He's okay in this. But like, it's not amazing. And then we get to the whole revenge part of it, and boy, they were they use their I think they use their F-bomb allowance, as I recall, or at least like they definitely were using some not for TV language quite
Yeah.
often. Like
Well, yeah,
he was
yeah.
pissed.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, yeah. Well, this was, I think, the first Jack Ryan movie to get an R rating.
Understandably,
Yeah,
because there's there's sexual moments, and there's very uh, intense scenes of violence.
yeah.
Yeah. And also, like again, Harrison Ford is just a wrecking machine, and you can tell that like he is just so satisfying to watch, being angry about this whole situation and just like working himself to the bone, trying to track this guy down.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, and it really, and the scene I really liked was when, so a character we haven't mentioned is Patty O'Neill, who's played by the late great Richard Harris. And from what I understand, Harris, he was actually like a last minute casting. They had a different actor
Hmm.
playing him, and for some reason he dropped out. So they lucked out in that regard. But he's kind of like the money man for the IRA, and the entire movie he's just like, no, we're not affiliated with these guys. We're not responsible for what's going on here. Don't put this on us.
Right.
And
Like we always claim any attack we carry out, and if we haven't claimed it, we didn't do it.
right, yeah, and so there's a great scene there where Jack Ryan confronts him in a Irish pub in somewhere in DC, and yeah, he just lets him have it.
Yeah, it's just very satisfying. There's
Yeah.
also it has some of the fun of Red October in the retro spy and military equipment.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. With the old night vision and the satellite imagery, which yeah,
Okay, the satellite imagery, that might be the first non-ironic use of enhance I've ever heard in a movie.
yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that again, and I'm like, oh god, that's just like Blade Runner. I'm sure Harrison Ford appreciated that.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, and I will say it culminates in the climax, which like I remember watching. I actually this was one of the few R-rated movies that I could watch when I was a kid. Um,
Yeah, because that makes sense. This is kind of a soft R. It's like
yeah, yeah, and take out a few of the f bombs and then tone down the violence a little bit. It would have been a could have
actually,
probably
yeah.
could have gotten a PG-13.
This
Um,
would probably be pretty easy to edit down for cable too, now that I think about it.
oh yeah, yeah. But I still remember watching this when I was a kid, and the climax like kind of scared me a little.
Oh yeah. Like,
Yeah, because that,
a
that
siege
those
on
are.
his house in the dark, stormy weather and a big boat chase at the end.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, I enjoy this movie a lot. I, for me, I think I would probably like it more than Red October, even though Red October was a great movie, but I kind of preferred this movie.
If, if you asked me which movie I liked better, like as a Jack Ryan movie, I definitely like Patriot Games more, just because Jack Ryan doesn't feel like an unnecessary inclusion in the plot.
Yeah.
I think I'd still have to go with Red October, just because the whole Soviet Cold War thing appeals to me a bit more.
Mm.
But and also just Sean Connery stealing the show as
Oh,
always.
oh yeah, yeah,
But no, this is definitely a worthy movie.
yeah. Um, and the other reason I think Alec Baldwin didn't come back to do this movie was because the Irish were bad guys.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he, of course, Baldwin being a proud Irishman, he's like, yeah, I don't want to be in a movie where my people are the bad guys. Oh,
Which is fair.
yeah,
Honestly, this movie is probably better off for not having him. So there you
yeah,
go.
I think, yeah, yeah. But yeah, this is on Paramount Plus. Yeah, so Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Yep. Yeah. By coincidence, we had a very stacked night, but we also had things that were pretty straightforward to describe and recommend. So that worked out nicely.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
There wasn't anything that required any sort of breakdown to go into why it was bad.
Right. Yeah. Looking at you, Alex Kurtzman's Mummy.
Or Rebel Moon.
Rebel. Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the way, our long national nightmare is over. Rebel Moon is officially shit canned.
Woohoo!
Huh. Well, what do you know?
What do you know? Who didn't see that one coming? Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ring the bell, buy some books. Links are in the description down below, and we'll see you next week. Everybody.
Yep. Later, guys.